Kicking things off for us is Jim Basney from the University of Illinois and NCSA.
Great, thank you. Wow. Thanks. That's a very nice welcome. It's my pleasure to come to this meeting whenever I can. As a former Condor graduate student, it's always great to be back on campus, and something I really enjoy in this meeting as a cyber infrastructure professional is to hear about the science enabled by cyber infrastructure like Condor and OSG and all the good things we're talking about this week. So it's really inspiring to hear about all the science that's being done and the important ways in which you all are studying our world. So I'm glad to be part of it. Yep, I'm from NCSA at the University of Illinois, where I lead the CILogon project. And so I want to talk about trust and time and what it means to operate a cyber infrastructure service that scientists depend on. So CILogon is celebrating our 15th year of sustained operations to enable secure login to scientific cyber infrastructure. And we aim to make that seamless for the researcher, providing identity and access management using the researcher's existing identities, either from campus or from services like GitHub or ORCID, so that they can access the cyber infrastructure resources to do their research in a way that's as seamless and convenient and secure as possible. Currently we're supporting over 50,000 active users each month from over 700 organizations around the world. This past month it was 799, so we're getting close to the 800 mark. And in addition to just the logon, we're supporting the management of the scientific collaboration. So that's onboarding when you join the collaboration, offboarding when you move on from a scientific research group or collaboration, and then managing the groups and roles that you have as a member of the collaboration so that they're consistent across all the different applications and websites that you use to do your research. And so this is an architecture diagram of our CILogon service. And so the happy scientific researcher enrolls in the user registry that is operated using the open source co-managed registry software that we get from the Internet TAP service. So that manages the identities and the groups and the attributes and the roles of the researcher and the collaboration so that the researcher can log in again with that credential that they already have to access applications that may need different interfaces. So they may need an OpenID token or an OAuth token or a JSON Web Token or a SAML assertion from a SAML IDP, et cetera. And so we want to support the different integration points for the different scientific applications so the researcher has that consistent experience across the cyber infrastructure ecosystem that's part of the research work. And we need to do that in a way that's trustworthy. And so, for researcher, a research project it wants to buy into this platform. They need to know that they can rely on the platform today and next year and 5 years from now. In many cases, we're talking about a research facility that has a multi-decade planning horizon. And so what does it mean for that type of facility or project to rely on a service like CILogon to manage their identity and access management? So they need something that is going to be sustained over that period that they need to use it, and that's going to be reliable. It can grow with their needs, so it needs to be scalable. And this is a security service, so we need operational security to provide that trust in the service. And so that's about pen testing of the service and having an incident response plan in place, having privacy policies and other security policies and a security team that's standing behind the service, Ways in which we address things like reliability and scalability is we're operating our services in AWS using the AWS Kubernetes service so that we can scale and we can make changes to the service by rolling out new containers in a way that minimizes downtime, et cetera. So in addition to that sort of day-to-day operations, we need to be thinking more long-term about our operational service. So that includes managing our technical debt over time. We've been operating for 15 years. And as we add new functionality, we have to think about retiring older functionality so that our service is still sustainable. And we can have staff that know about the current technology and can operate it effectively. We need to understand who we're trusting, who are our operational dependencies, like, for example, the open source software that we're operating in the platform, like the co-managed registry software. We need to prepare for transitions. So I'll talk about a major new version of co-managed registry that's currently being developed. We need to be ready to move our subscribers to that new platform. And we need to build trust by engaging with our community, understanding what the community is concerned about, understanding the community's needs on an ongoing basis, and making sure that we're serving those needs. So the CILogon team is shown here. So Jeff and Robin and Scott are full-time on the project. Robin is there and Scott is there. And Jeff would be here today, but he had car trouble, unfortunately. But all the rest of us listed are part-time on the project at the University of Illinois. And it's kind of a nice benefit of operating the service out of the University of Illinois is that we can have staff on the project who are part-time on CILogon, part-time on other projects. It helps us maintain a larger team without having to pay everybody at full time. That's makes our budget not sustainable. But it also means that our staff members are connected to other projects at NCSA and elsewhere that help to inform our operations. And I'll mention Rochelle, one of our team members. She's our accountant on the project. Financial sustainability is a very important part of operating service in the long term. And so Rochelle is key to that. But also, Rochelle depends on the business office at NCSA and the financial offices at the University of Illinois, the contracts office, et cetera, to make this work. And so we really benefit from sustainability provided by the university on a long-term basis. And then our partners are a key part of our trustworthy and sustainable operation. That starts with the InCommon Federation. We participate in the InCommon Catalyst program, where all the different identity management service providers in the InCommon ecosystem meet monthly and talk about the emerging needs that we see in the Federation. We collaborate with SCG, collaboration group, who is responsible for the co-managed registry software, so that we're working with them on the new features. We're understanding, since, as you saw in that diagram, the registry software is really the foundation of everything that we do. It's important to have a close relationship with them. And then our relationship with the Australian Access Federation is something that's grown recently over the years to help us better support our subscribers, the research projects in Australia that are using CILogon, because they need support while the team in Illinois is sleeping because of the time zone difference. So the Australian Access Federation is there in the local time zone. They understand more about what science is happening in Australia and the cyber infrastructure needs in Australia. So they're really valuable partners for us as well. So I mentioned financial sustainability is really key for the project, and I'll talk about the timeline that took us to this current model that we have. But our basic authentication is the free tier for any academic research project. That is a consistent tier that we've maintained at no charge for the 15 years. It's, as the name says, it's basic authentication. But then we have two paid tiers, essential service and full service, that are what sustains our service. And so the subscribers that are have a contract with the University of Illinois for one of these paid tiers are getting the access management on top of the basic authentication that provides the onboarding and offboarding and service level agreement of a certain uptime and support level and additional customizations that you see listed there. So there's more details, including the current prices on our subscription page. Every year we work through the university budget office to see if we have a small, it's usually a small surplus or a small deficit. It's usually a small deficit. And so we revise our prices and get those approved by the university each year and then update the contracts accordingly. So in the 15 years, we started as under an NSF ARRA award. So that was the American Recovery and Reconstruction Act. I think a lot of great things started out of that source of NSF funding, and so CILogon was one of them. And that allowed us to develop the code that started our operations in 2010. And what we did at the start is do the in-common authentication to give out X509 certificates. And so I'm going to talk more about X509 certificates in a bit. But over time, we had additional funding from National Science Foundation and Department of Energy to add additional functionality to the operational service. We had partnerships with Exceed and LIGO and to grow the operational service. And then in 2016 was our last NSF award under the NSF CC program that added the co-managed functionality, and it had a key component of financial sustainability. Basically, how does your cyber infrastructure continue to operate without asking for another NSF grant every 3 years? And it was really key to our partners also to see that they could rely on us on a longer time scale without fearing that we wouldn't be able to get that next NSF award. And so as part of that process, we had particular science projects identified as partners to that they would sign up for a subscription so that they knew they were paying into the service and they knew that we would be around. And so that added co-manage. And so in 2019, that CC award ended and we transitioned to our subscription funding model with 5 subscribers. And so over time, we were able to add additional functionality. We added CyToken support, which was additionally developed under another NSF grant, but then we can sustain that capability through the CILogon operational model. We deployed a co-managed registry for access in 2022. We partnered with Australian Access Federation in 2023. Last year, we reached a milestone of 25 subscribers and migrated to the DynamoDB service in AWS for better scalability and reliability. This year, so far, some highlights have been federating with the DOE OneID service and retiring the X509 CAs after 15 years. So I promise I'll talk more about that. But a big thing coming up for us is a major new revision of the co-managed registry version 5 that we'll be planning for. So a key part of maintaining our operational sustainability is deciding when we need to retire some technical debt. And X509 certificates were a big example of that. We saw that our X509 certificate capability was using my proxy software, that some of which I wrote back in 2001, depending on Globus libraries that aren't supported anymore by the Globus project. And we were just seeing the demand for X509 certificates was decreasing. And so it just didn't justify the expense for us to continue carrying this capability forward. So we worked with our partners to work on a transition to tokens instead of X509 certificates. Dave is going to talk about the token transition at Fermilab a bit later today. LIGO was another key partner in this transition. And so we made that announcement 2 years ago with the plan for phasing out the different pieces of our X509 support. We stopped issuing certificates last month. We're withdrawing our certificate authorities from the IGTF distribution this month and turning off the servers next month. So next month, CILogon will no longer be using code that I wrote in 2001. That should increase your trust in CILogon. And so I feel like that's a step forward. But I know that was a lot of work for Fermilab and LIGO and others to make that transition away from X509 certificates. So I appreciate the work that everyone's done on that. And so the transition is to newer technologies like JSON Web Tokens that are part of standards like OpenID Connect and OAuth. And so we're supporting ID tokens from OpenID Connect for access, PSI tokens for LIGO, WLCG tokens for Fermilab, and we've also done some experiments with GA for GH passports, which are also JSON Web Tokens for use in Australian biocommons. But our next big change in the platform is going to be migration to co-managed registry version 5, which is a major web app framework upgrade for that platform. That's, again, the core of our IAM service. And on the theme of addressing technical debt, the older web app framework is only going to be getting security patches for so much longer. And so this migration is really important for security reasons, but we're getting a lot of other improvements as part of that, including user interface redesign and streamlining and simplification. I think there's a lot of good interfaces for system management in co-manage. And I think what's coming in this new version is improved interfaces for the end user, for the scientist that just needs to go in and join a group or change one of their attributes, change their email address in the platform. And then we're going to have more options for enrollment flows. And so this is all detailed on the co-manage product roadmap. And so those are my thoughts about 15 years of trustworthy operational cyber infrastructure, CILogon being the example. And so I think I have some time for questions and discussion. So what do you think?
So I think I made the same comment in 2023, but I'll repeat it in 2025. Congratulations! I think this is the first IGTSCA I know of that's been retired on purpose and not retired because we ran out of money or we didn't get the next grant. I think as far as I know, everybody else has hit a wall as opposed to say we grew past it. So I think that in itself is accomplishment. My I guess my question or comment is you mentioned kind of you mentioned a couple different aspects of sustainability. You know, a real obvious one people usually think of first is subscription models to pull in funds, but you also touched on a couple other ones like you know, how do you sustain a team, or how do you sustain your ability to do research and development, or you know, how do you sustain open source projects and collaborations? Which of these models, you know, obviously you're using the subscription one at a large scale. Which other ones do you plan on doing, and or there are other ones that you maybe left out of the presentation so far that you think you want to try?
Thanks, Brian. That's a great question, and it reminds me of one key point on the staff page that I wanted to make sure to mention is sustainability of that team means that people who were around 15 years ago at the start of the project don't need to be around for the next 15 years. And so some of the team members, including myself, are planning to retire from the CILogon project in coming years. And so it's all connected because we need financial sustainability to hire new team members. We need technical clarity and, you know, not a lot of technical debt when we're bringing on new team members and saying, you know, here's this code that has all these ugly pieces from 15 years ago that now you have to own. that's not the best way to recruit new team members. So we want to say, this is modern code that has a future that's based on a sustainable, scalable cloud platform, for example. So there's lots of ways to come at this, but these things are all connected: the financial, the technical, the people pieces of it.
So I have different question in different dimension, but let's talk about the subscription model. So the sustainability depends on having customers.
Right.
If customers walk away, sustainability is gone.
Right.
So and you still have to maintain a certain level of effort, because you cannot let people fluctuate with the fluctuation. So is that really a model of sustainability, right? It is, for example, you haven't showed us your income level from subscription, and you probably don't want to, so I understand that. But there are valleys and there are mountains, hopefully, so I see quite a bit of challenges here and institutional commitment. You didn't talk much about whether when you have a valley, the institution is willing to walk in and to fill it, because when I look at what we are doing, I don't believe in the subscription model, because honestly I don't know how to manage something. So I don't know if you have any thoughts or you want to make any comments on that.
I was really tempted to include Excel spreadsheets in my presentation. I did a minor here in finance at the at UW-Madison, so I enjoy talking about it. It's true that the subscription model is not the only way of doing sustainability, but there's real benefits to it. It's that the customers that we're serving are paying us directly. So I'd say for a lot of my grant-supported work, I'm serving the customers here, but I'm getting the money from NSF over here. And so then I have to balance that. Is my customer NSF or is my customer the scientists? So now I have it's the science projects paying my subscription costs, and if they're not happy, then
it's still NSF is paying, but it's money laundering. NSF is giving LIGO money to pay you rather than to pay you directly. You exchange it under the bridge.
I'll say in the subscription model, I've been much more successful at getting funding through multiple streams than I ever was for grant funding.
I understand.
It's not just NSF, it's Department of Energy, it's Canadian funding, it's Australian funding. So that's helped a lot, but there's no magic bullet. And if our service isn't valuable,
the other downside of it is we have the word open in our world. The subscription model is closed. If you have money, you are in. Yes, I know there is the basic that is being subsidized by the others. So this is taxation without representation. But because your subscription model has to collect money to pay for the open part, but the open has access to limited services. If you want to go beyond that, if you don't have, and that's another philosophical question about are services in cyber infrastructure only for the have and not for the have not, but I will leave this for a different discussion.
Yes, I have thoughts on that, but we can leave it.
Yep. Thoughts, but no solutions, right?
Any other questions for Jim? All right, let's.
We have time or we have to go? So you use trustworthiness, but it seems to me that your trust structure is based on SLAs with the University of Illinois. What do you mean by you said uptime? Okay, if tomorrow morning there is a breach in CILogon, is the university liable, or is it your reputation, or is it part of the SLA? I'm trying to understand where is the trust structure, or we on our end we just say we go to Jim Basney to this is the arc going to Jim Basney. We just go to you. We don't go to CILogon because we trust you. But where is really the trust structure here in CILogon?
It's not just the SLA, and so for some people that contract is really important for some subscribers. But in my opinion, it's very unlikely that one of our subscribers will successfully sue the University of Illinois. And so the trust is about all those different aspects. It's about the trust in me and the rest of the team. It's about trust in our ongoing operations. And so, I've had discussions about why should you trust us for the next 5 years? Well, look at what we've done for the past 15 years. And it takes time to build up that trust. And trust is about having good communication. So there's not one piece that's again a magic bullet, but it's also not just Jim Basney. And so the key thing for sustainability is it can't just be one person either. I need to be able to hand over the reins to someone else, and for projects to continue to have the IAM services that they need.
But then you are describing a challenge if the leadership leave and there is a new leadership. What happened to the trust relation? Do they have to? So it's not only the money trail,
right? Trust must be earned on an ongoing basis. Okay. Well,
All right.
thank
Thank you, Jim.